Kalista can keep them safe. You can't go for the Kalista Ash, don't get me wrong, but even you don't even have the best lane pairings left for Draven. You don't have Leona or the Nautilus. I mean, what, you've got Alistair maybe? I do not like Draven first pick like this.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. I will say Kalista typically quote-unquote countered by Draven, right? But that's usually the on-hit, not the lethal lane. But still, the early lane is rough for Kalista against the Draven.
Yes, you can't hop away from Axes, which is rough. Yeah, that's the big part of it. But then they went out, they went away from the Corki first pick, which you said was really valuable, and that means that Xiaohu gets to play it, which is, again, one of the primary S-tier picks in the mid lane right now. Of course, Ultra Prime can't play a lot of those engaged supports. Chris hovering over it. They don't need to lock in the Leona, though. It's not like it's going to get picked on 2-3, because, of course, Niket can't play it. Played it in game 1.
Curious what Niket will actually end up going for in this one. Still things like the Rel, for example, available if he does want to go hard engage support. We'll have to wait and see. Blitzcrank too if they end up against a ranged lane. Sejuani locked in for Tarzan. It's his most played of his career. 70% win rate over 80 games. And Hacker slams the Karthus. It's a power pick in the jungle.
Yeah, and he's had it banned away from him a lot. This has been the primary jungle pick in terms of the AP farming junglers. And looking at what else can come out across the board. Sejuani, of course, cannot keep up with the clear speed from Hacker at all in this kind of pace. It is so deadly. The Yone comes in for a bit of engage. It's an AD pick in that mid lane, which can do well into the Corki. I know we've seen a lot of Yone's picks into the Corki. I actually think Corki does completely fine in this matchup. Now, so it's going to be a little bit more on kind of player piloting it rather than just the matchup itself.
We'll see how he's going to be able to do on the pick. Yuekai, a player that we've not really seen that much Yone from. He's played one game ever, and it was not a win. Oh, in fact, no, sorry, it was a win. It was a win. But not a pick that you know Yuekai for. We'll see how he's been practicing, how good he is on that pick. White, though, going to go for Ziggs down that bottom side. So, again, looking for these turret plays. I feel like Ziggs is loving this new format, right? He's loving fearless drafts because he finally gets some more play.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, now, because there are so many AD mid laners in meta, you can put your AP elsewhere. We said it's really good in jungle. You can also play it at bot lane. It's completely fine if you got the Ziggs there. I haven't really seen that much variation in terms of mages and bot side. It's not like we're seeing, you know, Zoe and Syndra, like season 8, season 9, that kind of deal. Still, you need to have a hard CC support with it. You can't play the Nautilus on either side. You can play the Leona. That's why it's banned. Now, what else has Chris got? You've maybe got, I think you've probably got Rakan and Alistair as the last two real heavy CC picks that could go towards that bot side. And, you know, the Alistair's not fantastic with the Ziggs, not the best level 1 for laning, especially against the Draven. That can be very deadly. I'd expect maybe a Rakan ban from Ultra Prime, so Chris doesn't have laning support, and that means that maybe Weibo needs to go for a lane swap early on.
See if that ban comes through. The Thresh as well, just to make sure that Doggo doesn't have that safety net. Even, I was going to say it could be a brawl angle for Niket. It does mean that you don't have much engage coming out from the team. You've already got your jungle pick in there. I mean, maybe you go engage on QingTian. To see where Ultra Prime go with this one, honestly. I think it could just be 4 support bans with both teams already having played Nautilus, Leona, removed, and Rakan's gone. Like, what are we picking?
We called out, look, if you're playing Ziggs, you need hard CC. Now, the thing is, you need something that can lane as well. Okay, Rel's the one which actually slipped through there, and of course that was played earlier in the day, not in this series, though, which is why I was like, oh yeah, well, but it's not that great at laning, which is a problem. Because now Niket can look at this combo and say, well, what can I win lane with, and allow Doggo to really just murderize what's happening with the Ziggs Rel, and see if they can get something.
It's Alistair, right? Surely the answer is Alistair. It's really good versus Rel. It's a tank support, it's an engage support. It ticks every single box that we've been asking for.
You can also just tank the Sejuani ult too. I mean, the Sejuani is a single target engage. Also means that if you're picking a melee for Breathe and topside, which you'd really like to do, in fact, we've even seen a Pantheon Sejuani combo come out. I think it was from Detonation Focus in the LJL, and that looked really good, and I'm wondering if other picks go towards that too, because you can just burst people out very hard. But regardless, if it's the Renekton or something else, which is melee and bursty, you need to find a way to combo up with that Sejuani. They say, no, screw the melees, the Alistair, the Xanse don't want that, let's go Vayne. It is not great into Karthus and Yone when they go for that big combo. You can get outplayed there, but it does do massive work into the melees.
And I love that Breathe gets skill expression. His Camille game went a little bit sideways, but all 3 games gets a carry for himself. And, I mean, look, Vayne is one of those picks, isn't it? We saw a ton of MSI where you can really take over a game, but also if you're not that good at Vayne, it's very easy to look real bad coming out with a pick like this. Breathe certainly has the hands for it. Let's see how he performs.
The thing is, also a lot of the dashes, a lot of the engage coming through from this team from Ultra Prime kind of locks you in place for a little bit. It's quite telegraphed. You can very much condemn away an Alistar if you don't play things well. With Yone, it can be a little harder because you can't stop the little knock-up coming with the dash forwards too from that Q3. Still lots of tanks to rack up huge damage with. Tarzan is here not for the melee synergy, he's there to just pin down a target so they can get blasted out. Huge value now from this Alistar to make sure that they can hold the door closed. Make sure that Weibo don't just start running rampant in terms of DPS checking.
I mean, it's a huge amount of pressure on Niket's shoulders, the new guy on the squad, the rookie moving in for Ultra Prime. He's looked decent in this series. Let's see if he can continue that on the Alistar pick. Breathes Vayne as well. He's played it twice in his career, won both of those games. He's got the angle, he's got the draft for it, he's got the Cassante up against him in lane. Let's see if he can leverage that advantage. It's time to get into game 3, and Fearless Draft delivers once again. We've got a Yone, we've got a Draven, we've got a Vayne top. This is carries galore between Ultra Prime and Weibo. And honestly, I am hoping for a high-octane game here. It's not Weibo's tendency, but I reckon with these drafts, it is their destiny.
And we are getting ourselves set up for a level 1. Now, of course, when you have something like a Vayne in the top lane, yes, you don't want to have that laning into your Cassante.
So, you were saying?
Yeah, I was sat there like, oh yeah, Xiaohu's. But the level 1 is really important there because it's ranged versus melee, and that's why I really felt the need to speak about that one. Often you will see that a lot of teams will drop a ward into the top lane bushes to make sure that Vayne can't stand on the bush closest to you, walk beyond the wave, auto-attack you, drop back into bush to drop minion aggro, and then just bully you out. Of course, suppress the attack being very strong AD carry rune right now, and Vayne being a very good user of it. You can't allow a good level 1 for this champion. In fact, Breathe was so scared of a lane swap being shown through that he was hovering around that red buff so he could quickly get to the other side of the map if he needed to, and instead will now go back towards top lane, but has allowed QingTian an entrance in onto the wave at level 1, so that's still something in that matchup which can be really hard for the Cassante.
Yeah, honestly, like, MSI we saw a bunch of Vayne top, but lane swaps kind of ruined it. This is Breed getting Vayne top versus Cassante in isolation during the laning phase. You can already see how painful this is. This is just level 1. This isn't even with the true damage online.
So
it doesn't get easier.
You can get that level 2 off this wave. Honestly, it should be worse from level 1, so this is actually better than it is, and it already looks pretty bad. See that Breathe tanked up the wave a little bit there at the level 1. There was a chance that QingTian could potentially look through for a Q3, didn't quite manage to. Keep Breathe in the wave long enough to use his safe distance, and Breathe as an individual laner, showcasing once again how good this guy is, what we were expecting for him on Weibo. Feels like Weibo really had a good pickup from him in that top lane, even if the team still maintains that inconsistent moniker.
So we'll see how this one's going to go now. I'm cautiously excited with the Vayne top, with the Draven in the bot, and also Yuekai on the Cassante, on the Yone. I do feel like there's potential for a big game here. The thing is,
there's gonna be a condemn.
Oh,
yeah,
he got it.
So that's what I was saying.
He got it.
Oh, okay. Because you can see that QingTian wasn't positioning next to the tower because he's like, oh, I don't want to get condemned into the tower and get the double damage from it and everything like that. Breathe is hopping in and out of tower range. While he's getting the XP, he ain't getting much of this gold, folks.
This is just so painful to watch. I'm surprised Breathe didn't start cult, to be honest, but maybe afraid of the lane swap. Felt like he needed the health. Hacker moving into this bottom side, he'll be able to grab that Scuttle Crab. It's even in the jungle so far. Neither jungler getting any cheeky pathing off or anything like that, so it's just going to be a standard clear. On either side, 1 crab apiece. Yuekai gets a nice little trade against Xiaohu, although Xiaohu trading it back pretty efficiently. Oh no, Chris!
Oh, he cancels it!
Niket gets the combo! Ignite down! Niket first blood!
This guy has had a hell of a day on the Rift. cancelling out Xiaohu's Tristana in the last game multiple times. As Leona in game 1, my kind of unsung hero too, starts things off well on the bot side. Doesn't even matter that it's not really a big cash in early on for the Draven, because he hasn't got that many stacks yet. Would have been nice to go over to him, but you'll take the kill either way. Problem is, though, this is a lead in the bot side. That's great. What's going to happen about top side all the same? They put a lot of resources down there for this play, but this Kasante still left alone on the island, and this time it's just Chris. Why are you guys checking that? You're on the weak side of the map. As long as an enemy topside jungle thinks maybe you can get out with a W, that thought is very wrong. Niket, fantastic play once again.
It's really painful that Chris used that flash as well. It still ends up going down. Not ideal for him. Tough situations. Yuekai just trying to make sure he gets all of these minions, both supports in the lane there. Then obviously Corki very likely to get a CS lead to start this lane off. So once all of these abilities come through, and speaking of, Yuekai using said abilities to get a really nice trade on Xiaohu. One auto away from a solo kill.
Oh, Yone sure is a champion, Joe, isn't he? Yeah, that's sure a champion right there. That's one of those real special champions out of that mid lane. You can remove his lethal tempo from whatever lane he wants to put it into. The fleet flow X still completely fine for the laning phase. And that E with the ramping move speed and damage makes this matchup, again, a little bit scary. We have seen Corkis do well into the Yone. I think it was, I mean, we've seen a couple of champions do wall runs, a couple of players pilot that. Okay, Tarzan going top side, looking for a dive. If they can get a kill here, this is really bad.
Minions. TP coming on through, Stun doesn't quite land onto Breathe. Ghost for Ghost in the top side, and Breathe will walk away with his life. TP forced from Yuekai, which will mean Xiaohu can push that wave to deny some minions mid.
And this is one of the big problems. So funnily enough, we actually saw this from BLG versus Genji. So I wonder if Xiaohu was going to fly over the wall at MSI, where effectively when you're going for these big plays versus big farming junglers, every time you fail a play like that, you're letting them get another side of the jungle. But he's going to go right into hack now, forcing a flash potentially, gets himself a W.
I mean, Sichuan, loves these 1v1s. Hack is just going to get solo killed by Tarzan. At least it's a Dark Harvest, but that is all but a consolation prize.
You have to flash early. Maybe he thinks he's going to die anyway. Xiaohu just hit level 6. There was a good chance he died. Tarzan taking a lot of damage from the Grubs, but he's pretty happy to get that kill himself. We said that there's an opportunity cost. You give up a load of farm to the Carthers when you make these big plays across the map. Cat's coming over here, doesn't have flash. Has Ignite back up. Tarzan's in danger. He needs to be careful here. Gets the level up at least.
Tarzan levels up, gets a lot of sustain from hitting the jungle camps as well, walks away with about 500 HP. Hacker's back on the scene, so this will be 2 Grubs, but honestly, Tarzan happy to just deny one, happy to get a bunch of gold for himself. Like, how often do you get to solo kill as Sichuan in the jungle? He's going to be over the moon with that one.
And I think, well, Tarzan, you know what? Of the great Sejuani players of all time, Tarzan's pretty high up that list, going through his time on Griffin, and then the times, of course, he's pulled out for many years now into the LPL. This guy has been so good at this pick for a very long time. I remember him in LCK finals playing like Spellbook Sejuani way back in the day, back on Griffin. And it does really feel like in this meta, if you fall behind, if you mess up one of those plays, you just kind of lose the game to stuff like that. Carthers just starts farming it again and again. So you have to hit those shots.
Ooh, recall not quite denied there by Light. Nice try. Unfortunately, just a split second too late. And as you mentioned, this is kind of a vintage Tarzan pick. 60%, or I think it was 70% win rate from when I looked earlier, over about 80 games as well. Like, this is his most played jungler. He looks comfortable on it, and I think that's much needed. With his form so far this split, it's good to see him on comfort doing well.
I think with the level 6 hit as well, you can potentially go into a lot of these different lanes and cause some issues. Now, it's still quite hard to go into a lot of, go into the Alistar and the Kasante when he has W up and get real big value, because they just press various buttons to ignore your CC. Yes, with the Alistar, it's okay to trade ult for ults, and of course that'll be coming up in the next minute or so from Niket. Of course, with the way that lane swappy weirdness happens, you sometimes lose out on XP for supports in particular, but once that level 6 comes online, you have a lot of that.
See if that's going to be something that comes in a couple of minutes' time when this Drake and the Grubs spawn onto the map. Tarzan has his ultimate, and as Sejuani, that's often when you're going to look for a big play, look for a way into a lane, but Yuekai playing with enough respect not to fall prey to it. But that flash ultimate from Sejuani is always a threat.
You know what? The more I think about it now, I really need to see something come from Doggo soon as well. If he gets an early cash in, I think his game is okay to play. If he's behind the game, he's currently had a little bit of gold, but you know, if he loses stacks in the next kill, the next big play of the game, I think things get really awkward for him. It's really quite hard to play this game into stuff like the Ziggs minefield. It's one of the reasons why Talia is also weirdly a Draven counter, because you just don't want to walk in that kind of slow. It means your team fighting so hard. You need to see Doggo get involved soon.
See the rest of the team setting up as well, playing towards that Draven. Perhaps that Drake we talked about will be the option. It's up in about 70 seconds. Ultra Prime did get the first Drake of the game, so... And Tarzan's not exactly got a good record of getting Drakes so far on this split. I'm not sure that that's actually a trend that is going to continue throughout the year, but funny while it lasts.
He very much prefers a Song of Ice and Fire compared to a Dance of Dragons. Good George R.R. Martin about that one. Just doesn't like the things. He'd just rather get kills elsewhere on that farm.
Yeah. Trying to get grubs, I guess, as well. Although QingTian trying his best.
There's a lot of people topside.
Tarzan going to be a target here. QingTian doesn't choose to go for the all-out. I wasn't sure if he was going to try and commit and pull Tarzan back into the team, but didn't see the angle. Decides to move back up top, catch this wave. Cryo for breathe, as always. Hacker is in the top side, but I'm not sure they'll really find an angle off the vein.
It's not exhaust Karthus where you just walk up to people and press it and try and 1v1 them, and even then I think that breathe just on kind of boots 2. It's really quite hard for Hack to ever really walk anywhere near the vein. He gets run down very quickly at this point. He's getting himself towards that Blackfire Torch, of course, has made Karthus very, very strong. A load of different stats because once he's going to go for the second dragon of the game. This is important. I mentioned this a lot in our cast recently, where effectively, if you get 2 early dragons, you can ignore the next 2, 3, and choose to get gold instead in the mid game, which is obviously a big part of how you play mid game. So by getting these 2 early, gives Ultra some options. Problem is, I do still feel like Breathe is very happy just laning into the Cassandra for as long as he can.
Breathe is more than happy. The longer that isolated 1v1 goes on for, the better it is for him. One thing I want to quickly mention as well, Tarzan's build here, Locket of the Iron Solari first item.
True.
And I like it. You're against Karthus. This is kind of the Karthus counter item. Obviously late game, the shield's not quite going to be enough, but in the early stages of the game, that shield will essentially mitigate Hacker's ultimate.
It's like when Soraka's ultimate was known as the anti-Karthus ult, because it just does the AoE heal for everyone. It's like, well, that's how you cancel it. You just cancel out the Karthus ult, you just heal and shield everyone at the same time and see if we can get value from that one. I think it makes a lot of sense over something like the Night Star, which we commonly see as the first item in more armor high builds for the Sejuani, and of course in this game there is only one magic damage threat, which is Hacker. He's going to find his way down bot side with Satchel. One of the things about Ziggs bot lane, if you didn't notice, folks out there, I think this was maybe Shifter or QTPie that was discovering this one too. You use your Satchel to get a free Q. You basically use the Satchel, combo into the mini knocker, which gives you a free Q, which means you can get yourself like 1 free Q per rotation without having to get there like right on target of the enemies.
And what you'll see with the really good Ziggs as well, it's kind of like watching a good Gragas, where they'll preemptively queue for where their ult is going to land with the AP Gragas and get the one-combo. You see that from Ziggs as well, where they'll throw the Q and then W the enemy into that Q, confident that they'll
It's like Gragas, but like a fifth of the wins.
Yeah, and a lot less damage and a much short cooldown on the combo. You can get a bit of trade onto Tarzan, but importantly, blue buff taken away by Tarzan, which really sucks for Karthus, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, at this point, at least he's got the mana item, but yeah, he always wants that, and just the cooldown, it's just everything for him. It's not really like Karthus, he gets huge value out of the red buff. You weave it like a single auto for red buff when you have it in later levels, and then that's kind of it. Just taking farm away from him in any amount is a really valuable thing, though. As we said, that one of the things you need to be careful of against Karthus is that if you make plays elsewhere, then Karthus gets like a whole quadrant of the jungle, you fall behind. You know, various players are going to have to start picking up that kind of skill set as we get into this kind of meta.
So, I want to take a second and talk about scaling, since I have so many seconds to take in every single Weibo game I cast. This feels like it's probably going to be a fairly long one, since neither team seems particularly keen on forcing the issue on anything. we've got a Karthus, we've got a Yone, we've got a Draven, not bad scaling picks on the side of Ultra Prime. Sante's going to be a monster in the late game. However, you've got a Vayne, like Corki, even though he's building lethality, he still does a lot of damage later on into the game. Ziggs definitely a great scaling pick. How are we feeling about the kind of clash of compositions later on?
The thing about scaling is that a lot of people take it to mean if we hit target dummies at level 18 with 6 items, who does the most damage? It's not always about that, it's about who can do damage. I'm worried about this Draven. If they get a kill now, I think that conversation turns a bit more Ultra Prime favored. But around this Herald, we need to see the ult misses from Tarzan.
And it's a Herald taken by Hacker. Satchel charge, but it won't matter. Oh, hang on a second. Xiaohu's been found by QingTian. The all-out comes on through. Flash used, but Ghost in play for QingTian. He's trying to chase him down. Oh, wait a second. The Requiem comes down, and Xiaohu falls.
Hacker gets involved. No, it's not the kill for the Draven. That's still yet to come, but the damage onto Xiaohu and allowing QingTian to get onto that tower and bot side, important nonetheless. Niket can be stopped out on this recall. I don't think there's a play to be forced just that. So it's Herald, it's a kill for Ultra Prime. No real cross map coming in from Weibo. Big moment for them. Maybe they can use that Herald to force a big play with something like you know, like a big kind of engage coming in from Yuekai, maybe. They don't have that many ways to hit towers. It's one of the weaknesses of Ultra Prime's composition. Niket.
Combo onto Tarzan here. Chris playing to try and block for his jungle, but Doggo's on the flank as a Draven. Doesn't get the cash in though. Kill went over to Hacker. Yuekai trying to follow up for more, but he's stood against the wall. Bomb across 3 people, but the damage just isn't hit for Weibo. Xiaohu arrives behind the play, and he's tearing through the health bars. Suddenly it all flips on its head as Xiaohu saves the day. Big 1-on-2. Hacker nowhere to go. Drops Herald. Wait, he's going to try and ride
He
Herald.
wanted to use the ward.
Climb aboard, ladies and gentlemen, but he's going to hit the wall, surely. No!
He gets the
team! Hacker, you lunatic! 2 HP in a dream! Hacker thumbs up and walks away!
Here's your taxi, sir! Get the safety! Oh my word, I've never seen an escape like that! But he gets a kill and he gets out. Still, big mistake from Ultra Prime to not give the kill over to Doggo. He has over 400 stacks. That would have been the gold they needed. I think that was just a bit of a see hero, kill hero moment. If that damage had gone over to Doggo, I really think they'd be in a better position in this game. As we said, until Draven gets that cash in, he can really struggle to play against stuff like the Ziggs minefield and the kind of the range of which Weibo are playing at.
How many stacks is he on? 473 right now.
It's a lot, Joe. It's a lot.
It certainly is. If he gets a singular kill, it doesn't even matter who on. He is going to be rolling in money. Tarzan trying to contest. This is the 3rd Drake, remember, for Ultra Prime if they can get it.
Doggo, use that flash in the last play. That's important. Who else used flash? Of course, Niket doesn't have his. Xiaohu, Tarzan, Breathe. They're the 3 which can't flash away right now. Breathe needs to be very careful. His positioning gets a lot harder if there's engaged tools left up and he doesn't have flash. Weibo recognized this and they just said, look, let's just not tempt fate. We don't want to do this too easily. Tarzan does have a... This is a late setup for them.
2K on the Dragon. I believe it's going to go to Ultra Prime here. It's actually Doggo that gets it. Hit by the ultimate, but cleanses immediately. Chris, the target.
The cash in!
1,000 gold into the pockets of Doggo. And a Requiem flies across the team as well. That should be enough to dissuade a fight for Weibo. They want a bit more. Bomb on in. QingTian on the front line. Dashes to safety. Yuekai the next target. Breathe wants a bit of the action. Yuekai still has flash. I think he's fine on this one. But Breathe wants to prove me wrong. Trying to get under the tower. 6 autos and Yuekai's almost dead.
Now the question is, can they wave play this turret? Because if you lose mid lane turret, then it is a loss. That's going to be the Hex Flash back on the turret. Yuekai, you need to recall. It goes on to the walls rather. But I think with him taking such a long time to recall, this will be mid tower potentially falling. Doggo has Bloodthirst, so you can heal it pretty well, but they can't defend the turret. So Weibo, lose Dragon, lose a cash in, but the mid turret is an important objective all the same.
I'm amazed at how much Ultra Prime really tried to contend that mid turret. That felt a little bit dicey at the end of the play there, but ultimately, 2,000 gold lead for them, and Soul Point with a Hex Tech Soul. It's a great little spot to be.
Starting way back here. What is this? This is the first play around topside where they failed to get cash in, where, I don't know, man, maybe was it the Defile which ended up killing that? I'm not sure, but either way, it could have been a Dark Harvest proc as well. That's another point. Hacker's getting low to them in these kind of fights. As you rightly said in the heat of the moment on this one, Xiaohu finds an awesome angle on the Corki. We see right here.
Of course we got to replay
this is why we're going back to this, because this one is like, I don't know, what car movie do you particularly like, but all the same, Oh my word! Listen, if you need an escape driver for a heist, call Hacker.
2 HP. I can't believe he got away with that. He can't keep getting away with this.
Away with this.
Oh god. I mean, that's genuinely miraculous. If you're a fan of Ultra Prime, thank your lucky stars right now, because we can pretend that's calculated if we really want, but realistically, how many Herald chases has Hacker been part of over his career? Not that many, I'd wager. But all things considered, Ultra Prime in the driver's seat. They do kind of need to snowball, like you mentioned. Draven find this a lot worse if he starts to fall behind.
So this is the thing. I think particularly with champions like Draven in this kind of game, where they basically walk up and they stat check you with lifesteal and pre ID, which he has a ton of. Right, that's a card assault. Were they just using that to stop Xiaohu from backing? Niket sees it. Guess this. There's a kill onto Breathe on the other side of the map.
Wow, okay, I guess that was an ult actually for Breathe, and we were just looking at the solo later. I'm sure we'll get a replay of what on earth happened elsewhere on the map.
Well, there was Doggo with an ult. So Doggo cast his ult, QingTian cast his ult, so did Hacker. I would imagine there was a double global onto a poor Vayne somewhere else. And at this point, Vayne's actually only 700 gold ahead of QingTian, despite having the, what, 50-odd CS lead. Thereabouts 45, 40, that's the one. Numbers work like that. But Breathe has not really been able to run over the side lanes the way that we want him. Gonna get a replay of this, I presume. Okay, he just gets... So, there's the extended E range onto the minion from Sante with the extra allied range from that one. Gets everything on target with the W on top of that too, and then just globals come absolutely flinging through.
Oh, it's the burn.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
it's the burn afterwards.
Okay,
oh my word. The burn. Draven ult was also in flight, would have just missed, but they called in the artillery. Once again, we've seen a lot of artillery comps. They get that kill onto the Vayne.
It does feel like this Karthus is just sort of taking over the league at the minute, isn't it? It's such a powerful pick, and so many players are getting caught out by it. So many players are so used to fighting on a knife's edge with their opponent, but you're never actually in a 1v1 when Karthus is in the game.
The thing is, even before this itemization patch kind of came through between MSIs, they're going to get a fight.
Oh, that felt dicey from Doggo for a second there.
There have been some people who have been calling for the Karthus and the AP mids for a long time. I just think that Blackfire Torch, effectively, the junglers finally had such a big kind of stat buff in that sense to convince all of their mid laners to pick AD champions instead of like the AP mages, which was a big holdback for a lot of these things. Yuekai's going to pop back himself to make sure he gets the local gold on that tower as well, which he will do. And this is going to open up the map a little bit more for them. Mid lane out of turret though from Weibo is still up, and Dragon's cupping up in 30 as he just called out. Ultra Prime don't have the easiest access in towards that because Light is going to be wave clearing for forever. So Ultra Prime, what are you going to do here?
See
actually
how
rush
they
Baron, they have
they can just threaten the trade, right? They don't actually need to go full
Absolutely.
Drake.
Yeah. I mean, on the other side, you do have Vayne who can help with just taking the Dragon. Doggo's going to clear through that. I mean, you have a Liandry's card. You have to respond. Coming in here, Hacker's tanking alone right now.
They've seen Breathe bots, so they know that this is a 4v5, but they do it so damn fast.
It's what happens to the game too!
Niket trying to body block for his team. He's the bouncer, denying entry. Tarzan used the ultimate just onto Niket, but he's punked it away, and QingTian knocks him off. The damage is there, though. Requiem now across the team. Yuekai gets one. It's 1-4 so far, but the health bar's a lot for Ultra Prime. It's double for Breathe as they look for a little bit more as well. Breathe trying to close the gap here. Ultra Prime empowered recalls. They might be able to get away with this one if they play it right, but they need to find space here. Tarzan
Doggo's getting Bloodburster.
Yuekai trying to get a good trade. Is in the meantime, Hacker's just taking crooks. He's just getting bonus farm at this point. Doggo still full HP, and he's got so much damage to work with. They've got to play it perfectly. It's a 4v3. Crisp can't get in because he's
press the attack.
jumped. Doggo dodges the knockback and Breathe goes down. No, he doesn't. Into the brush. He survived somehow, and so did Tarzan. Now being chased onto the other side of the map. What is this play? This is absurd.
Doggo!
Flash from Doggo to finish the job. It's the dog that puts him down this time.
Ultra Prime get away with murder! It has been a heist all game long. The first you get the Herald escape from top side, the snatch away a Baron from under the noses of Weibo. They deal to Weibo what was dealt to them in game 2 with a top laner without teleport, falling into the wrong side of the map, and then Baron going alongside with it. Because Weibo was so delayed in taking everything to the top side, Dragon's potentially going over too, but we might get a fight over it.
I mean, Weibo want to fight. I don't really know if they can, to be honest. Hacker's just going to be finishing the string while the rest of the team plays to deny entry. Tarzan on the target, Xiaohu chunked. This is going to be Soul, Ultra Prime, 2 objectives in a row, and Weibo just got the best, and Doggo with a snipe on the back end of the play.
Whirling death from downtown from Doggo. Ultra Prime springing to life around the Baron, much like Weibo did in Game 2. You know, we had a funny feeling at the start of the day this could go to all 3 games between these 2 teams. I'm so glad to see that things have heated up in Game 3. It was a bit of a slow early game. So much gold onto Hacker and Doggo now. I think it's very, very hard for Weibo to play in the game, given so much gold on the Carthus and the Draven. This is the kind of conversation we were talking about, the scaling factor. Scaling isn't hitting target dummies at level 18. Sometimes it's about having the double globals flying into you from all the way across the map, and you cannot avoid that kind of damage as Weibo, and they can't even survive it apart from maybe Tarzan.
This is beautiful from Ultra Prime. They have been a bottom team basically since this organization came into existence, but they want to prove that they have got better. They have got the players, they have got the skill to change that story. An upset over Weibo today would be monumental for them in terms of moving forwards. And we've talked a little bit about this Group D. It is the most turbulent group. I'm just saying, if Weibo do lose this series, they're liable to fall out of that top 3.
Yeah, they could get to a point where they go into Group B in the next stage of things. And for those of you that haven't caught up with the format, the group stage is a double round robin, fearless in a best of 3. But that qualifies you, if you're top 2 in Groups A to C and then top 3 in Group D, to the upper group in the stage which can qualify you for playoffs. There is a stage beyond that if you don't, but still, you'd much rather be in that upper group than the lower one, because if you lose in there, you end up going out, or rather, you qualify for 2025 instead. All the same, I love that part of that video, by the way, but all the same, Ultra Prime, they switch in QingTian. I think that he's been playing very admirably, given his situation in this game. We won't talk about the Malphite, but even then, I think that he's been very good in this game at just being that front line and not giving Breather a winning side lane, kind of game-winning lead.
Oh, Yuekai actually goes for an
They just
2v1 with the ultimate flying in. The whirling death from Doggo a little shy, and it means he won't get the kill in the end, but Breed went in the meantime and like the next target. Niket tanking as they dive the tier 2.
Hacker just gagged both sides of the map at once! He just ulted top lane, killed Vayne, and almost got Xiaohu and Light at the same time. I mean, get you a jungler that can do it like Carthus.
Breed, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, buddy. That's the second time that QingTian just sets up for Hacker's ultimate, and both times it's off screen.
I think that Tarzan might just be about to kill QingTian. They could teleport in. Xiaohu's in range. Can you get the passive down without the unstoppable if you can? Oh, don't do this again.
He's not got all out, so I don't know if there's a big angle, but there is a TP angle
coming
out from Yuekai. Niket arrives on the scene as well. QingTian was just looking juicy. He was setting up for the team. Knock up onto Chris. The damage is there. Magnet Storm is not enough, and Yuekai grabs a double kill.
They are mega, they are giga, now screw that, they're ultra in this game. Weibo were the favorites, but this team... How do you ever try to predict what happens with this team of Weibo? Ultra Prime have had such a good Game 3 at snatching the initiative away from Weibo in the way that happened to them in just the game before. Really feels like Weibo have been overforcing now, and the amount of damage on Doggo, Hacker, Yuekai is too much for them to contend with.
This is going to be at minimum 2 inhibitors. 5 seconds until Tarzan is back on the map. Ultra Prime still going strong. And this Hextech Soul has got so much value across the course of this game with the little bits of poke damage that are coming on through, especially from Hacker. Do not go through the portal, Weibo. It's not worth it, I promise you.
It's like all that you see is our land, but what about that shady pot? That is the fog of war which Ultra Prime are in. Never go there.
Yeah, except the entire back is that shady
bit.
Yes,
look, nowhere in that statement did I say how large the kingdom was. It is getting ever closer. And again, this fog of war is horror survival.
Oh no, Chris has to be the one to face check. Does survive or
surely doesn't kill.
Laser from the sky. The burn ticket is not going to be enough. I hope that's not going to be enough. The game's in a bad spot if that is that like 500 damage burn. comes on through.
The damage from that, damage from everything is going to give free entrance to Baron. I mean, Weibo had to face check that Fog of War. They just about lived. We're seeing the gank on both sides of the map again. QingTian has played around the Fog of War in side lanes wonderfully. I do think that Breed needed to be much more respectful. When you're at this point in the game of those globals, you cannot afford to be stepping up that close to Fog of War. You've got to know your geography, buddy.
And I have to say, Hacker is having a fantastic game on this Karthus, but we have to mention the guys setting him up right. Niket setting up the plays bot side, QingTian twice now setting up kills onto Breed. Yuekai doing admirably in the mid lane as well. QingTian is looking for Breed once again, and Breed knows that he's in trouble. This time backs away at the speed of light. Got to take Rocket at this point, as he's ready to fight.
Recall.
Yuekai gonna use forwards there, won't find an angle. Okay. Things calm down for a moment, but Elder is coming up in 10 seconds time.
So, we've praised Ultra Prime an awful lot over the last few minutes. It doesn't really matter if they lose a fight around the Elder. We saw NIP fall prey to this in their first game against Weibo, where all it took was one lost fight in the game. Just ended. Hacker gets caught!
This is not the time he flashes out safety. Yuekai saves his jungler somehow. Hacker gets out of that one alive. Doggo can't quite find his mark with his axes. QingTian just walks towards the enemy. In the meantime, Yuekai started off Elder. He's just going to try and solo it. Requiem comes out. Look at the damage coming out from Hacker. That is absurd. Doggo flashes into 4, cuts them to pieces. Breed desperately trying to escape, but their supers in the base on top of everything else. Ultra Prime take a bow. This was gorgeous.
Oh, there was a bite, there was a snarl. I'm calling hacks. That combo is absolutely disgusting into the late game. They got the gold, they got the damage, they got the damn series.
I wasn't sure if we were going to see Sky Lasers into Dragon Lasers, but they don't even need it. Doggo flashes to finish the game. What a beautiful play. What a beautiful series from Ultra Prime. And what an upset to round out our day.
The new players really getting some moments to shine as well. Was it a perfect series? No. Again, QingTian in Game 2, amongst others, really struggling to land the marks which they had in Games 1 and Games 3. But like I said at the start of the day, there is a real soft spot for Ultra Prime as a team that felt so close but so far in many of their series in spring and even in last year as well. This team feels like they have now come across a set of players with some LDL players and then some more veterans as well coming in, which have started playing on the same page, that have some good champion pools. No longer is Hacker just the first 15-minute jungler that does early plays and then falls off. He has the AP junglers down pat as well, and on the other side, I mean, we talked about how a couple of the players in Weibo, they've had some real dips in their career. It's not just the point where it's one bad series or just one bad stretch